When we think of cars, we usually imagine freedom, speed, and innovation. For more than a century, automobiles have been symbols of dreams, carrying us across highways and through history. But not every car has been loved. In fact, some cars have been remembered for all the wrong reasons: unreliable engineering, bad design choices, safety disasters, or promises that never matched reality. These are the cars that made drivers shake their heads, mechanics groan, and critics sharpen their pens. This is the story of the most hated cars ever made. Machines that left scars on the industry, disappointed their owners, or became cautionary tales in automotive history. Every hated car begins with an idea. Sometimes it's a bold vision rushed too quickly into production. Sometimes it's a cost-cutting measure that strips away quality. And sometimes it's simply arrogancy, belief that buyers will accept anything with four wheels. But history has proven that people remember. And when a car fails in spectacular fashion, it earns a permanent place on lists like this. Take the AMC Pacer, for example. When it first arrived in the mid-1970s, it was pitched as the car of the future. A wide-bodied compact meant to look different from anything else on the road. And different it was, with a strange bubble shape, huge glass panels, and an odd driving feel that confused both buyers and critics. Instead of the futuristic marvel AMC hoped for, it became the butt of endless jokes, a symbol of design gone wrong. It still has a cult following today, but for many, the Pacer was a rolling embarrassment. Then there was the Ford Pinto, perhaps one of the most infamous cars in history. On the surface, it was meant to be a cheap, practical little vehicle for the everyday driver. But poor engineering and rushed production led to a fatal flaw. A dangerously placed fuel tank that could explode in rear-end collisions. When the truth came out, it wasn't just a scandal, it was a symbol of corporate greed. A chilling reminder that profit had been placed above people's lives. The Pinto's reputation never recovered, and it remains one of the most hated cars ever produced. But the list doesn't stop there. Remember the Pontiac Aztek? Marketed as an adventurous crossover for the new millennium, it promised style and versatility. What it delivered, however, was a design so awkward, so mismatched, that it became a laughingstock. Even though it was mechanically decent, the Aztek's bizarre looks overshadowed everything else. Some have called it ahead of its time, but most saw it as one of the ugliest cars to ever roll off an assembly line. And then there are cars like the Yugo, a vehicle so infamous for poor quality that its very name became a punchline. Imported from Yugoslavia in the 1980s as a cheap option for budget-conscious Americans, it was plagued by constant breakdowns, flimsy parts, and a driving experience that fell decades behind its competitors. What was supposed to be affordable freedom became an endless frustration, and the Yugo's legacy remains as one of the worst cars to ever be sold. The DeLorean DMC-12 deserves a mention as well. Today, it's remembered fondly, thanks to Back to the Future. But when it was first released, it was a disaster. The stainless steel body looked futuristic, but the car itself was underpowered, overpriced, and plagued by production issues. Buyers felt cheated, and the company collapsed soon after. Without Hollywood's magic, the DeLorean might have been remembered only as a failed experiment in flashy design over substance. Other cars earned hatred because they overpromised, and the Chevy Vega rusted away faster than owners could pay them off. The Hummer H2 became a symbol of wastefulness and arrogance, guzzling fuel while offering little practicality. The Chrysler PT Cruiser was mocked for its odd retro styling that quickly fell out of fashion. And the Smart Fortwo, while innovative in concept, frustrated drivers with its lack of power, awkward handling, and limited usefulness outside of city streets. Some cars are hated not just for design or engineering, but for what they represented. The Cadillac Cimarron, for example, was essentially a rebadged Chevy Cavalier sold at luxury prices. It insulted loyal buyers and damaged Cadillac's reputation for years. The Lincoln Blackwood promised to combine luxury with pickup practicality, but its strange limitations, like a trunk that couldn't function as a real truck bed, made it both impractical and unappealing. Across the decades, the theme is the same. Cars that cut corners, cars that misunderstood their audience, cars that chase trends instead of substance. They remind us that automobiles are not just the machines. They are emotional purchases, reflections of trust between a company and its customers. And when that trust is broken, it lingers. Yet in their failure, These hated cars also teach us something important. They revealed the dangers of rushing innovation, the risks of ignoring safety, and the consequences of arrogance in design. They show that buyers value honesty, quality, and purpose. And in a strange way, their very failures make the success stories shine brighter. For every Pinto or Ugo, there was a Mustang, a Civic, or a Beetle, proving that cars could become beloved icons. As the minutes pass and we reflect on these 20 machines, one thing is clear. Hatred in the world of cars often transforms into legend. The AMC Pacer still appears in movies. The Pontiac Aztek gained a new cult following thanks to Breaking Bad. Even the Pinto, for all its flaws, remains studied as a turning point in automotive safety. These cars may have been hated, but they will never be forgotten. And perhaps that, in its own way, is its own form of immortality.